Hello and welcome to the second of my Commodore Classics videos, where this time I'll be taking a look at Little Computer People, which was published by Activision in 1985 and was designed and programmed by David Crane, who's also pretty well known by retro gamers at least for games such as Pitfall 1 and 2, A Boy and His Blob, and the Ghostbusters game that was available for the Atari VCS and Commodore 64, as well as other platforms. So as you can see, this isn't really a game per se. It's more sort of an interactive toy where you have this cutaway of a house, and there's this little guy who goes about his business, and you can talk to him using the computer and request things for him to do, although a lot of the time he won't actually listen to you, because you can see at the top there I'm trying to get him to dance using various words, and instead he's more interested in his star jumps, and he appears to be jumping up and down on the dog's head a little bit there, which is a shame. Although I do have a bit more success eventually getting him to do certain things. I believe round about now is when I use a couple of keyboard commands to have a new book delivered to his house, and then a new record. I think he's probably going to... No, he's not going to answer the door yet. He goes into that room at the top there an awful lot, and I'm not sure what's in there. You never get to see. Although I would often speculate that that's where he keeps his torture den, or the corpses of his many victims, or something of that nature. And is he on the way to answer the door now? I think he may well be going to answer the door. Well, he does like to talk to the user on the phone as well, in his gibberish voice. Yeah, he's got his book there, and he'll be taking it up to that cupboard next to his PC, and then he'll go back down and get the record. I would spend a fair bit of time just mucking about with this when I was in my sort of mid-teens. I was fairly late to actually owning a Commodore 64. I played my friend's C64s a fair amount before finally getting one myself. I remember the year I got mine was the year that they released the rather ill-advised consoleization attempt of the Commodore 64, where it did away with the keyboard entirely, and it just supported cartridges, which was a bit pointless really, because the standard Commodore 64 had a cartridge port anyway, so it didn't really sell. It did result in a kind of upsurge in cartridge-based games for a little while, as Commodore managed to get a few companies to put their games out, at least for a while, on the cartridge format, including Ocean and System 3. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off track. As you can see now, my little pal is writing me a letter thanking me for keeping him well stocked in food and water. I remember something I used to do back in the day was try and get his food and water supply to run out, to see what would happen whether it was actually possible to starve him to death, but I never managed to. And you've probably noticed a kind of similarity to The Sims, and Will Wright has gone on record to say this was indeed an influence on The Sims. Actually, I'm going to shut up for a minute while he plays the entertainer. So as you can see there, I'm trying to get him to stop playing the piano now, because I got a little bit bored of that, so wanted to show off some other things, and eventually he does indeed stop. I think he's going to play a record in a little while. I think I asked him to use the computer here, and he actually listens to me. So he's going to play a game of some sort on his C64 or whatever console it is meant to be. This game did come out on some other platforms, mainly 8-bit platforms, although apparently it also came out on the Atari ST and Amiga. And perhaps most interestingly, Square put out a Japanese NES, or should I say Famicom version of this game called Appletown Story, Little Computer People, which removed pretty much all of the interactivity, which is a bit of a shame, and featured a little girl and a cat instead of this guy and a dog. It's it's an interesting curio, and notably had music by one Nobuo Uematsu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who of course is the famous composer of all the music in the main Final Fantasy games up till 10. What else can I say? He's talking to me on the phone, although I can't really understand what he's saying to me. And then I tried to get him to build a fire, but he just wasn't interested. As well as the keyboard commands to deliver food and records and stuff to the door, there's also one for topping up his water, and various others. One of the main things about this game, at least is if you had the disc version, apparently this didn't work on the tape version, which is the one I had, is that the first time you load up the game, a unique personality is created on the disc, and so in theory no two little computer people are behaving the same way, although I never really noticed any difference, because this guy behaves exactly the same as the one I remember from all those years ago, and effectively with the tape version, because you couldn't write to it, it's just gives you a new little chap every time you load up the tape, so I never noticed any difference. I'm pretty sure that is just a marketing gimmick that they use to get people interested in it. And I was going to put on some music, but he's still not dancing. How close are we to the end? Not too long to go, so I shall start wrapping things up now. Oh, it's going back to use the computer again. If you enjoyed this video, look out for further adventures in Commodore 64 gaming to come, and I'm thinking about doing some Nintendo NES and SNES videos eventually as well, although I'll get a few more of these out beforehand. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube to be kept up to date, and you can also read a companion article on my blog at www.retromoderngames.blogspot.com. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.